All right. Welcome to what used to be cocktails and conversation to now coffee and conversation because it's 11 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday. And so it's a little early for cocktails, a little early, not a lot, but we figured we'd just go with the coffee. So we would like to welcome today one of Songword's favorite artists, Debbie Korbel. Debbie Korbel, welcome to Coffee and Conversation. We're so glad to have you here. I've been looking forward to this interview for a long time. And for those of you who don't know Debbie, you'll soon figure out why. She is incredibly funny. In addition to being incredibly talented, she's a sculptor, a painter, music lyricist. I don't know if you're a musician, but you're a music lyricist and a script writer. So she's got many talents. We feature several of her pieces, her sculptures, here at Songword Art House. We have 3 of them, and I'll show you in a little bit. But for now, let me just introduce Debbie. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Debbie and I met, I guess, maybe a year and a half ago when we did our first exhibition, and that was inspired by the lyrics of John Lennon. And when we met, I have to say I didn't know Debbie's work, but she is very well known. But I'm so glad to have been introduced to her because she is absolutely one of our favorites. We have 3 pieces for 3 different collections, one for John Lennon, one for songs about lust, and one's for songs from the road. And they by far get probably the most provocative conversation in the gallery, each one of them in their own way. And I'll show you in a little bit what I mean by that. And you can see right behind me, there's this little figurine. You can see him like that guy. That guy, I'll start with him actually. That guy is from our John Lennon, and it is called Happiness is a Warm Gun. It was based on the lyric by the Beatles, John Lennon. And you can see right there, obviously he's got a gun for a dick. And Happiness is a Warm Gun is the kind of piece that when people walk into the gallery, they're like, oh my God, what is that? And they immediately start laughing and blushing and talking about it and saying this would be hilarious. And oh my God, if I put that in my house, what are my guests gonna say? And yet they just can't stop looking at him. And just there's a big smile on their faces. One of the funniest stories about that piece is that we had a mom and her, I guess, 9-year-old son came in, and kids love our gallery, and it's very kind of, interesting and a little bit irreverent, and kids just seem to be attracted to that kind of thing, cuss words sometimes, nudity. But they always go up to that guy, and they go right up to the penis gun, and this kid says to his mom, says, Mom, look, why does he have a gun for a penis? And without missing a beat, the mom says, because, son, sometimes penises can be dangerous.
It's more than sometimes, right?
I couldn't believe it. This kid's going to therapy for sure. It's like, sometimes penises can be dangerous. It's like, okay, let's move along. Anyways, I want to talk to you, Debbie, about your process, which is extremely interesting. You work in bronze, but a lot of times you'll also do pieces like the horse right here. This is a piece inspired by the song Horse with No Name. And as you can see, you put together your sculptures with found elements from, kind of the discards of modern life, everything from wiring and bones from animals and pieces of metal, circuitry boards from computers, I guess. Give us a little bit of ideas. What forms the pieces, your elements to your sculptures, and how do you source them?
Pretty much any way I can. I mean, people bring me things. I pick up stuff off the street. I'm sure people going like, what's that woman doing? Putting trash in her car, but junkyards, secondhand stores, garage sales, any way I can. But now that people know the kind of work I do, I get gifted a lot of good stuff. So it just kind of comes, and you kind of have to keep an eye out.
So when you pick a piece, what is sort of the culling process? Is why would you choose one piece and not another piece? Does it speak to you in a certain way? Is it like you start with one piece? From what you were telling me, you start with one piece and that is the inspiration, the seed for a vision that you have, and then you build around it. So give me an idea is like how you begin with an inspirational piece and there, how it grows from there.
Well, generally I like organically shaped pieces. I don't like things that look man-made, so I don't like things real geometric. That's just my style. I like figurative sculptures primarily, and the way I see us, we have a lot of round curves as opposed to, I mean, I'm sure the geometry's in there, but my brain doesn't see it that way. So for instance, I might see on one big horse piece that I did, I found a piece of driftwood on the beach, and I could just see already it had like a horse eye in it. And so I built the rest of the horse sculpture proportionately in size to that piece. So that's how that one started. Sometimes I just find things that look cool and I think, well, I could probably use it someday. And I usually do, so I've gotten kind of good at figuring out what I like to use, luckily. Although, I have a lot of stuff, you'll see in a minute.
You do. You have a ton of
Yeah.
stuff, and
Yeah.
it's so different one from the other, which is why it's very cool. Sometimes people will come in here and they'll look at the horse piece, and they'll also look at your bronzes. And there's another one over there I'll get to in a minute. And they wouldn't know it's the same artist. Very different. And so, but what they will get as soon as I tell them that it is from the same artist, the wit, the sense of humor, the sassiness, the irreverence. It's all Debbie Korbel, and from top to bottom. So I want to talk to you a little bit about your worldview. I mean, you have a wicked sense of humor, which I love. And I think that in the same way that we enjoy people's reactions to your artwork, you also very much enjoy pushing their buttons and seeing them blush or seeing them react in a certain way that that they didn't expect. So tell me a little bit about where does that originate in your mindset? Obviously, it's probably something from your youth.
Well, when I think about, why I like to make things funny, I mean, it's fun to make people laugh, right? So that is fairly simple. It's a good gratification. It's a good way to get people to warm up to you. If you can kind of get them to crack a smile, then they feel more relaxed and it's just more comfortable for everybody, right? So I would say that's one. It's kind of selfish in a way. I mean, I get a kick out of it when they laugh, I mean, I get gratification out of it. So that's part of it. Life is tough, so it's a good way of dealing with it, right? I mean, having a sense of humor about things makes life manageable.
There's different ways of making people laugh. You do it in a way that I think cuts them down to their zone of discomfort on some level. And that's a good thing, because that's a place that a lot of people don't often visit. And some of the funniest comedians that I have ever enjoyed over my life are the ones that just shock you in a way. And yours could be shocking. I mean, I'm going to show you this piece over here. This is from our Lust series. And you can see it's right in the window here. So people will be walking by and they'll stop. We put it by the window for a reason, because we want people to stop, and they'll be like, oh my God, is she really touching herself in that way? And the two women, what are they doing? The two heads on this one woman, what are they doing there? What's that all about? And it draws them in, and then they're uncomfortable for looking at it for too long, because then it seems a little perverse, but yet they can't not look at it. That's
She makes
clearly your intention.
She makes artworks that are like car accidents and you can't look away. Well, with that one, I guess, I wanted to do a female nude, and I didn't want to just do a female nude because it's done like 9 zillion times. So I wanted to do something a little different. So that was kind of the impetus for trying to come up with something different. It's kind of fun because you don't really know, am I touching myself? Am I touching her? It's like, what's going on there, So it has that, element to it that's sort of fun to think about. That's kind of what was in my head. And I wanted to do something sexy and sensual. And so those are my goals with that piece.
Yeah. And so do you consider yourself in any way political? Are you looking at the world around you and saying, I know that this may not be the most politically correct thing to present, but for that very reason, I'm going to present it in this way and speak a little bit of truth, regardless of whether people either get offended by it or are provoked by it. What's your sense of the world today, and does it show itself in your art?
I guess I'm affected like any human being would be by the things that are happening. But as far as the things that I make in my art, honestly, I just make what I want to make, and I don't know if it strikes me funny or I like it, I make it. If you want to do what other people expect, you get a job, right? So it's like, if you want to work for yourself and do what you want to do, you can be an artist. So there's a price to pay for that. It's not an easy way to make a living, but it's worth it. So it's what I'm wired for. It took me a long time to figure out what I'm wired for. I always felt a little like a lot of people, they don't quite fit in. And then what a relief, when you find all these other weirdos, it's so great. So there you are. Where have you been?
My people.
Yeah, exactly. So
well,
that
was there
nice.
what was that aha moment for you? Do you remember?
Well, I've done a variety of artistic things in my life, not with particular forethought. I just sort of kind of mosey along and do things. I guess when I started exhibiting, that was, a moment when I had done some writing and I had met other writers, that was, all those things kind of contribute to like, oh, all these, it's obvious to other people, but it wasn't obvious to me, earlier that, yeah, I want to be creative. I want to, explore the things that I can do in these areas. And I like the people who are doing it and the kind of wild and wacky and funny and offbeat and, irreverent and all those things. Mm-hmm. So those are the kind of people that I'm attracted to. So the weirder, the better.
Well, we definitely know what that client looks like when they walk into our shop, and they're, if they go to that piece or they steer away from that piece, I know they're either our people or they're not our people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I guess that's what art in general is, to people who gravitate to certain styles or certain subject matters, presentations that, not everybody.
I always think that, I guess when I'm making things that I think are funny or crude or whatever, I just assume that everybody else kind of thinks that way too, but they just don't say it. Don't they?
They may think about it, but some of them would never admit it. And they would never put it in their home so that their friends and family could see what they were really thinking about.
We all got here the same way, so
well, not necessarily in the same position, but well,
that's right. Some of us had more fun than others getting here. That's true.
Speaking of which, let's talk a little bit about that collection of dolls that you've put together that you're working on. I think that will give some great insight into Debbie Korbel's psychology.
Okay. So initially I started this series to make my friends laugh, right? So, after I made one and people were cracking up, I kept making more and I was cracking up. I was just having a lot of fun doing it. So that was sort of the catalyst for all that happened. It's called Bad Plastic. And let me take you over here. Let me unplug
Bad Plastic.
And I'll take you over.
It's called Bad Plastic. That's the name of the collection.
Yes. So let me turn this around. And then you can see what's going on here. So for instance, this one is.
Get a little closer.
It's on a book by Dan Quayle. It's called Standing Firm. You can see what's going on here.
That's to scale. Okay, good.
Yes, that's right. So a lot on these, a lot of times I would find the book and then I think about it and I find something funny to do with it, right?
And what's the title of that book?
This one's called Too Much of a Good Thing. Let me move you over here for a second. This one's called the book is No Rest for the Dead.
Oh God.
He's got X's on his eyes.
That's downright sinister.
Got Barbie and a unicorn happening
What?
here.
That is so funny. Oh my
This
God.
one,
Debbie.
this is on a book. What do people do all day? The Horse Whisperer.
Oh my God. Okay, let's stop there.
Right, so you get the idea. Okay.
So tell me, what's your intention for something like that? So you got a collection together. How would you like to present that?
Well, it's also, this is a little bit of commentary on sexuality and just the kind of things that are expected. Look, it's mostly, well, I guess that some of the boy dolls boys would play with. And I mean, now things are a little bit different. But when I was growing up, we would strip those dolls down. There was nothing ever there. We were curious, what was going on.
That's where the imagination comes in, right?
Yes, and the dolls kind of cue people in that it's something playful, right? But then, you see the adult content in it. So it kind of plays off of that. Just, again, I would just play with it until something strikes me funny, and then I put it together. And it's fairly simple, really, the genesis of the whole thing. It wasn't a gigantic political commentary, really. Just,
and yet when an artist puts something out there into the world, and we've all seen this countless times, whether the intention was to provoke, make a political statement or not, maybe it was just to have some fun, the public's reaction you can't control, right? Once you put it out there, it's open for interpretation and it's open for commentary. So what has been your experience throughout your career when you put something out there and you're just having a lot of fun and you love it, and then people come back and they're like,
most people laugh, a few people get uptight, but it's like why get uptight, and why get uptight over cuss words? It doesn't make sense to me. So if you want to talk about my worldview, that's part of my worldview. It's it doesn't make sense to me. I'm not a religious person. I'm really an atheist. So it's not like I have those boundaries of like what's appropriate, apparently.
But there's people who are do feel that way, and especially today. And we talk about this a lot here at Songword, because we deal in rock and roll, and we've done a series on rebellion, we've done a series on lust, and part of the impetus for doing something like that is to push people's buttons and to say something meaningful about the state of the union, so to speak, and how people are feeling, because that's what historically music has done, as the songwriters and musicians will do something because it's a reflection of what's happening in the world around them. And that's the role of artists, I think, principally, is to reveal or, shroud in mystery, but yet reveal at the same time some truths about what's happening in the world. And so I love the fact that you're going out there and pushing people's buttons at a time when we feel it needs to be pushed, because there's so much censorship going on. There's the cancel culture, and I think a lot of artists are afraid to go out and say what they really think, or to present something artistic and do what artists do, is to make a commentary. They're afraid, and I think that's a great shame. And I think it does affect the quality of artistic expression. And so I'm glad that you're doing it, and I'm more than happy to present it here at our gallery, regardless of what people say about it.
Right. That'd be wonderful. It'd be a lot of fun. I'm sure you'll take a lot of shit, so we'll see.
We're prepared. We sometimes will put things in the gallery knowing that it's going to be a tough sell, because it has to find its audience, and that audience is not the mainstream audience. It's going to have to find, like you said, our people. the people who are brave enough to put it in their home, who don't give a shit whether their friends and family have something to say about it. You know, we've had people recently come in, and we have some pieces in the gallery that are pretty offensive in some people's eyes, and they say if people comment about it and they wanted to, you know, censor those people, they say, well, there's the door. You can leave anytime you want. This is my home. This is how I want to surround myself with these types of images or ideas, and they're brave. Not everybody is.
Well, I wouldn't ever really consider myself brave, but I'm really kind of a chicken. But it's nice of you to say.
No, I do. I think you are brave, and I think that if you were to take that Bad Plastics collection and promote it out there, you get a lot of humor, and you know better than I do about what kind of reaction you're going to get. But I would imagine if I put it here in the gallery, we would probably be told to remove it from open site.
Yeah, it's interesting because actually, you know, there's some artwork by Jeff Koons that I know where it shows him, you know, having sex with his wife, and that's in museums, but it doesn't get accepted until you get famous enough for that to happen. And until then, you know, they can kind of quash or try to anyway.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk a little bit about the other things that you do in addition to sculpture. Okay. and the bronzes that you work. You work in music as well, and so that's what we do. We combine, you know, the music and the artwork. And I see that in other pieces you put poetry. You'll actually put text of poems that you've either taken from other sources or composed on your own. And in our case, it's song lyrics. So give me an idea of your relationship with words and most specifically with song lyrics and how that works together with your art pieces.
Okay. I've always been interested in writing. So I've always written short stories and poetry and things like that. It took a long time, again, slow and dim, you know, till I get there before I figured out how you could possibly monetize, you know, your writing. It's like, song lyrics, yeah. So I started doing that. As far as the lyrics that I'm using on the pieces for you, they're by famous songs so that people can, you know, identify and kind of relate it to the piece so that it makes sense. Happiness is a Warm Gun is something that I always thought was a funny song. It had a lot of, you know, the beginning of it's kind of nonsensical, the lyrics, but then when you get to the end, it's obvious that it's self-sexual innuendo. I mean, even just, you know, that lyric in particular is hilarious, right? I always thought it was funny. So, and I thought the ending was actually, you know, sexy, you know, of the song. So I liked it. So that was the inspiration behind that. And then plus I think, you know, men like to think that, you know, they're packing. This even needs an expression, right? So it kind of hits that note as well.
But actually incorporating words into your artwork, I mean, what do you feel that does to complement or add to the either the mystery of it or to the context of the piece? How do you feel about the written word blending together with?
Well, I like it because I think it helps explain to the person looking at it what the artist had in mind when they were making the piece. I think it's another clue as to what's in the artist's mind when they created it. So for instance, I'll show you in a few minutes, you know, the Day of the Dead piece that I have out there. I have a poem on that. So it kind of complements, you know, the feeling of the piece. On another piece that I have with you, let's see, what did I have?
Do You Love Me? Yeah. Do You Love Me? The two-headed woman. Yeah.
So again, it's sort of funny, you know, it's like, well, you better because you're stuck with me, you know, it's like, so it's a kind of like the way the book titles kind of play off of the sculpture in the Bad Plastic series. It's similar to that. It's not always humorous. Sometimes it's serious. Sometimes it's trying to exemplify that I'm feeling passionate about something. I want that, you know, the passion and the love that I've tried to exude in the art piece to come through in the words as well.
There's certain things that, you know, words can do, obviously, that just the image itself cannot. You know, it's a different form of expression, but sometimes working together, they can either be opposites, you know, to pull you in a different direction, or it could be complementary. But we're all about that, and we feel that that's a connection that people really enjoy making, because it does give them a little bit more insight into the mystery of what an art piece, you know, does and presents about life.
It adds some depth to it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Without, I have kind of a pet peeve about, you know, this is just me. You know, when you see an art piece and you have to read 3 paragraphs on a little square next to the piece, I get kind of mad because it's like art is primarily, to me, a visual form. And, you know, if it takes an essay to explain what you did, somehow you're not communicating it very well. So I try to keep it short and sweet. And, you know, if you want to write something, write something.
Right. You don't want to give them too much insight into what the artist was thinking, because, well, again, once the artist puts it out into the world, it's really not about what the artist intended. It's more about how that person connects with that image that's in front of them. Right. Same thing with music.
It's also, you don't want to make them feel like it's a homework assignment. They look at a piece and they've got to stand there and read this thing. It's like, I like something when it, you know, hits me in the face and I get it.
Right. So here's the one of your songs.
I don't know which one you picked out. Let me guess. Scared.
This little ballad's called "Fuck Me Hard and Take Out the Trash." So one of my favorites. Here we go.
You can't really hear it.
Flowers, okay, so
Here we
to
go.
my eyes for hours and hours. Listen to my worries for days on end. I'll understand what I like, my best friend. I got my own money, I don't need your cash. Just fuck me hard and take out the trash. Just fuck me hard and take out the cash. Just fuck me hard and take out the trash. I really don't need your gentle caress. For you to help me get undressed. It's not my soul you need to feed. There's only 2 things from you I need. I've got my own drugs, I don't need your stash. Just fuck me hard and take out the trash. Just fuck me hard and take out the trash. Just fuck me hard and take out the trash. You're so sophisticated and nonchalant, but let me tell you what I really, really want. I don't need you for me to be me. I'm perfectly happy with my personality. Don't need your approval, I'll take a pass. Just fuck me hard and take out the trash. Just fuck me hard and take out the trash. Just fuck me hard and take out the trash. A girl like me is a bit of a surprise to a guy like you who lives on lies. So here's your hat, baby, what's your hurry? Just do your job, cause I don't worry. You're not my everything, is that a news flash? Just fuck me hard and take out the trash. Just fuck me hard and take out the trash. Just fuck me hard and take out the trash. Just fuck me hard and take out the trash. Just fuck me hard and take out the trash. Okay, bye. Shall I call you an Uber? You give it a 1-star rating.
It's a little love song.
That's a hit for sure. A lot of your other songs also, definitely the narrative comes from a female protagonist. Do you consider yourself a feminist in any way?
Well, I mean, I guess, I mean, I believe in, you know, equal pay and equal rights and, you know, mind your own business with my body, that kind of stuff. I don't want to sound like I'm an angry woman, because I'm not.
No.
So I guess that's how I'll answer that.
But
by the way, I wrote that song with my partner, Paula Sabri, and Kimberly Murphy actually participated in the lyrics to that too. So I want to give them a shout out and give them credit too.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, your narratives, your point of view, I think in your songwriting are very similar to what I see in a lot of your artwork. and it's extremely strong female point of view about sexuality and about the relationship between men and women, but from a strong woman's point of view. And how are you being received with that in the world? And can you give me some insights, both as a songwriter and also from your other artwork?
Well, I don't really proselytize, I just kind of try to live my life and mind my business. So it's kind of, I'm not really confrontational about it unless someone's trying to pin me in a corner, I guess. So.
But you are confrontational. I mean, let's look at the bad plastic.
Sideways, I'm confrontational, kind of around the corner.
Got it. And that's probably the most palatable way to be confrontational, is to not say too much and let your artwork speak for
Because,
itself.
you kind of guise it in humor or whatever. So it's, I'm not looking for a fight.
On a little fight, it's a little fight.
So I guess I don't know what else to say about that. I mean, it just sort of, it's just what comes out of me naturally. I don't really premeditate how I think somebody's going to take something. It's really personal. I just write what I'm feeling or thinking at the time, or make what I'm feeling or thinking at the time. Maybe it'd be better if I used some more forethought.
No, but I think that's the role of the artists. For some artists, they'll put something out there and they won't have anything to do with the public because they don't want to deal with the pushback or the flack or whatever, and so they'll just refuse to engage. But for others, it's a conversation that they want to have and they're ready to have. So it's really individual, right? It's in the individual artist. I think that it's not necessary to go and engage people so directly. It really depends.
I just think, I don't really like it when people tell me how I have to think or how I have to behave. I kind of recoil from that. And so I guess that is in the back of my mind at some point. I'm not really interested in bossing somebody else around. Maybe my kids a little bit, but it doesn't work there anyway. So.
Right, of course. What do your kids think about your art?
Oh, they're pretty blasé. They're pretty used to me by now. I mean, when their friends first come to the house, they're a little surprised, I guess, but they get over it. Kids are much more relaxed.
They're used to it.
Yeah.
They know who you are. Yeah. Exactly. Well, we have, my kids come into the gallery and they'll be like, "Dad, you can't have that there. You can't." They're telling me what, they're censoring me because what if my friends see this? And it's like social suicide.
Yeah, although I will say that my daughter told me, just say one Mississippi before you say something. She's so very worried that I'll like blurt something out. I said, okay. I've been given instructions,
Right. Traditionally, isn't it the other way around, where
I know
the parent is censoring the child and not the child censoring?
It's much more fun this way.
I agree. 100%. 100%. So what's next? What's next for you?
Well, I'm preparing for some shows that I'm going to be in. And did you want to see what I'm working on now? I didn't. Would you like to see that? I'll give you a
Absolutely.
look here. Let me turn this around. And I can actually show you the studio view as well, but I'll show you. So I've started on this horse. I'm using different materials than I've used before. I'm going to experiment a little bit. It's got a steel armature on the inside, and then using the cardboard. So I'm, drilling and gluing and wiring all this stuff on there. And then I have plans to add some plaster and maybe some mixed media components, which I'll show you down here. This is a buffalo jawbone. I may, end up adding something like this for like the shoulder blade. We'll see. I love to use bones and wood. I'll probably use some of this wood for part of the mane. That's what I was thinking. I just sort of fool around with stuff as I'm making it and kind of try it out and see if it works. It's a lot like putting a puzzle together. Somebody's vertebrae.
Somebody's, is that a
Yeah,
human?
yeah. No, it's probably, I'm gonna guess it's like, I don't know, is it big enough to be a cow's? I'm not sure. Maybe it's a coyote's, I'm not sure. This was a gift, a very
think-
welcome gift. Anybody has any bones they don't want, I like it.
I think that when I die, can I donate my bones to a Debbie Korbel piece?
It's probably not legal, but I'd sure love it.
I would love to have it just in some one of your wacky sculptures. I think that'd be
Well,
so.
I guess I could do it and not tell anybody. I could show you some of the other work that I have in the studio right now. This guy, he's got longhorn steer horns on him. I don't know if that shows up too well. Kind of see they're really beautiful. Here's somebody that I used some wood on.
And those are bronzes, mixed media with wood and.
So this one is actually terracotta, and then it's hand painted and all the components, extra stuff is added on. Here's another little piece here. Now this one, I don't know if you can see, he's got a little human foot. I don't know, when I was little, I used to have a little rabbit's foot keychain.
Right.
And I used to love it, but it sort of grossed me out too, because you could see the little nails in it and everything. But anyway, I guess I never got over that.
It's your ultimate revenge to have it.
Yeah.
Have it.
This is a recent piece that I did, a crow, and it has, so here I've used stainless steel knives as part of the feathers on the wings. And this is in bronze, this guy's bronze. And this is something, that I found, the piece that he's mounted on.
Mhm.
So I saw that and I loved it. I knew I would use that. I picked that up. It's just mounted on a wood.
Mhm.
And this guy.
Yeah, so you enjoy working both with female anatomy and male anatomy.
Yeah. There's not enough male anatomy to suit me. So, it's everything is female nudes. I mean, they talk about, okay, this is, something. Hang on a second, I'll come back here for a second. They talk about, the male gaze in art. I mean, they've talked about that. But it is true. I mean, everything, for a zillion years has been all female nudes. I mean, the male nudes are far and few between. And a lot of times they've had everything lopped off, when the stuff in the Vatican, they've lopped stuff off and covered it up with leaves and everything else. So it's, I mean, it's just, part of being human. Why isn't it out there? So anyway, this guy here.
I think that the public does have there is sort of a taboo against the male anatomy.
There is. It's interesting. I don't know exactly where that stems from, but so that's part of like being a little bit naughty about it. It's like I'm not covering it up. I'm putting it out there.
Mm-hmm.
So like this little guy.
Yeah.
I mean, erections are funny, right? So it's okay to laugh at that stuff. So this is just some of the pieces that I have in the studio right now. And I'm working on other stuff too, but some stuff I'm having at the foundry is getting cast. So I'm waiting to get some things back. I'm actually, I'm excited about a new series that I'm doing. It's going to be O faces.
Old faces?
Like the orgasm face. So it's going to be fun. I've got a couple of them almost finished. So I'll show you, when that series comes out. It's going to be cute. So.
No doubt. Well, that's awesome. Thank you very, very much for sitting down with me and having a conversation about yourself and diving deep into, what makes you tick. I hope that our viewers did enjoy the conversation. I know I did, and get some.
Me too, I hope.
You really have to see Debbie's pieces to believe them. I mean, they're so intricate, and all the different found items have their own personality and history. You know, I believe that if you have like an old horseshoe or a wrench or something like that, you stare at them, and for me, I just can't help but wonder, you know, what horse used that shoe? You know, where was that shoe walking around, and what was this? What's the story behind it? And yet, it's all working together with this brand new image. And so I love it. And if you get a chance to see one of her pieces live at one of the other galleries or at our gallery, you're in for a treat. So Debbie Korbel, thank you so much.
Thank you. You made this pretty painless. Thank you very much.
We'll do it again.
Okay,
Sure.
have a great day.
And whenever you got that bad plastic, maybe we'll get a few pieces in here.
Okay, sounds good.
Figure it
I'll
out.
talk to you soon.
All right, Debbie.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.